Hey, welcome back to Maverick's Arcade, and guys, I've got some great news. Last week I was able to get my meds back. My brain is working again for the first time in like a year and a half. I've felt just completely stupid and drained, like dragging my knuckles around, not getting anything done. Well, got my meds back. Things are going great. Solutions are coming to my head, and I'm going to get back to making some more videos and enjoying the things that I love to enjoy. Stick around. So yep, as I said, I'm feeling much better. My brain's starting to work again, so I'm looking at all my projects that I have to do and trying to get things reorganized and cleaned around here. So one of the things that was also causing me a delay was I had the mountains as the background. And I've been trying to learn in Blender how to make virtual sets and use them, but I've just been intimidated to try it out. So if there are some problems around the set and stuff, understand I'm still learning. So, this is what I'm actually standing in, and then I made the floor and a background, and eventually that background is going to move and it's going to show a much bigger set with a lot of cool things and Easter eggs and stuff. So stay tuned for that. If you haven't subscribed and liked the channel, go ahead and do that real quick. But back to the table. The first project I'm going to work on to kind of clean up the things in the basement that I have pieces everywhere for is finishing the Arcade1UP project. One of the things that was kind of holding me back was Game On Graphics that made the original arcade marquee for my machine doesn't have the template for the NBA Jam 4-player tournament edition, so the keyboard buttons don't line up. So I tried to send him a template of the panel so that he can make a proper template so that I can make the graphics and stuff. But I realized it's going to take too long, so I just got some, what do you call that, contact paper to cover up the panel, and I'm going to move forward, and I can upgrade the graphics later on it. So I did not record the process of taking apart the existing panel. However, it's really easy. You just remove 4 screws from the panel, then you lift the whole thing off, and then there's screws on the bottom panel to lift that plastic piece off the bottom of the controls. Now, the one thing I was not aware of is that the joysticks are actually glued in place. I didn't know they did that. And lately, I've been really also enjoying this channel here and kind of getting encouraged to maybe try soldering, which has always made me really nervous because I thought it would just get solder everywhere and it wasn't very precise. But in watching his videos, I'm getting a little more confident that, hey, this is something I could actually do. So I may start incorporating some soldering into some of my setups. So we'll see about that. But in any case, you can see down here, I have this piece already taken off. And I did put I used the plexi here to trace the pattern on the back of the contact paper, so that's what I sent to Game On Graphics to help build a template. But as you can see, I still need to cut holes out from the back, so I still need to cut those holes out, and then I need to trace around these 2 little switches up on top so that they poke through without damaging the rest of the contact paper. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with black and then put photos underneath the plexiglass like I did for my main arcade. And that's how I'm going to proceed for now. The one thing, though, we want to consider when we're putting arcade joysticks in is whether or not there's enough clearance. See, this is the bottom tub part of that plastic. And my concern is there enough clearance here to put the joystick in? Now, luckily, I've been recently getting really into doing 3D printing stuff, and I've been organizing everything around my basement, making custom hangers for some of the things in my basement just to get things really organized. So what I might have to do, potentially, is to cut a hole out in the bottom of the plastic here, and then make an insert to like tub out the bottom of this panel to give extra room for a larger joystick. But we'll see when we get to that point. The other thing is basically all the parts I want to use for this are, leftover parts I have from upgrading my machine and other projects. So another iPad controller, and then I have a bunch of the classic RGB switches, which I originally used on my main machine. They're going to go in here. Now, luckily on my old machine, or my main machine, I had 6 buttons for player 1 and player 2. Well, the 1UP has 4 players, but only 3 buttons per player. So that should easily work out well. And then I just got to check and make sure that I have enough buttons for the rest of the project. So next what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and time lapse a little bit of me cutting the holes out of this panel and then trying to size controls up into the control board and see where we're at.
Alright, hello guys. We're going to work on cutting out the little holes in this board and then putting in some controls. So this up here is it's or that way. So we're gonna put those on there like so. And they go like that. And then looking on here, yeah. All right, so we're going to tighten this down. Next, I got to find the right screw for those. Was this just a small Phillips head? Let's go with that one. Yeah, and that's one other thing on this board too, was there was a lot of glue used originally that I was not aware of. Alright, so these wires I'm going to end up stripping and using a wire tester to verify which one's my ground, because you'd think the black would be the ground. However, yeah, maybe it crosses different. So these will be either volume down, volume up, or something like that, where they're just single press. This, I'm going to try to press more. And the next thing I want to verify is that plexiglass, if that goes on right before the end. I also need to verify, these are my 4 screw holes here. So I need to locate them and punch them real quick. There it is. And then there's the last one. All right. And like I said, it's got fingerprints all over that. I'll have to see if I can remove that. It's the fun part of trying to locate where the plexiglass is on the green screen. All right, so I believe the buttons, I think this goes on right before the knobs and the screws. And obviously we're gonna wanna clean that before we use it as well. And now we're looking for these classic RGB switches, because those are what we're going to use for the actual buttons, which are these groupings here. This, and this are joysticks. So now's the moment of truth. We're also going to use Harry Potter and Dan Brown's Inferno to hold up the board. And we're going to run this through here. And we're going to see. Perfect. And we're going to set that down there like that. And then we're going to, this flat edge, this rippled edge is what goes towards the board. Make sure not to cross thread this thing either. So, you gotta find larger ones. See, the ones that are incorrect have these pieces right here that have this groove, whereas the pieces I need that look straight up like a socket with flat edges here. So that's how you can tell them apart. So these two. All right, so the good news is, looking through all the parts, I did find the last remaining piece. So let's throw that on now. And then there was this other piece, I don't remember what it's for. I think it might be a spinner. We'll have to see. Now, that's one thing I didn't consider. I could put a spinner there. What games would that allow me to add to this? Well, let's also see how these buttons are looking. All right. All right, so we're gonna do what I think we're gonna do for these buttons. And maybe if I don't put a spinner here, what I might do is put, well, I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna look up what games have spinners, because otherwise I don't have great need for this, because this actually functionally will be 2 buttons. So what I think I'm gonna do over here, for example, is this will be exit game, and maybe, I'm not sure, but this actually will function as 4 buttons when I'm done. And I could potentially put the spinner there, but I'm gonna see what kind of games that will give me extra abilities for. And then I'm also deciding right now, I'm trying to figure out if I want to put the U360s here or the regular joysticks here and the U360s on this side. Probably the U360s over here, and just be straight up switch controls in the middle. All right, I didn't even look up the games yet, but I decided, yes, we're gonna go ahead and use the spinner, because why not? So to install that, again, very simple. Now you could have this plugged into the into the I/O controller, but I actually have a separate USB controller for this spinner, and that's what we're gonna use. So we just drop that in there, and we push it through. And then on the other side, we use this ring around here, and we just drop it right on top and screw it down. Let's get these wires out of the way. And again, watch out to make sure you don't cross thread. There we go, nice and good there. And we'll make sure to get that cleaned up in our wiring. But this is what it's gonna look like. And I like that. I like that a lot. All right, cool. And then we'll also look into the fly counterweight. I'm not sure what this is for. What's this say? Channel B. Okay, it's just the wiring on that. But we don't need to worry about that because, oh, wait a minute. Oh, that protects it. All right, so we do want that on there. And then we're gonna look into having the weight on there, the flywheel. And what a flywheel will do is give it help it perpetually spin more. Like so. You can see those bolt patterns don't exactly line up. Looks like the other joystick was a little bit smaller. But it does mount up on one side correctly. But let's see, if I was to do that, I can feel I'm too close to the bottom. So we may have to move it anyway. Let's see. What we're looking for is where dead center is. It's right about here. So it looks like that one screw hole can be a starting guide. What we'll do is we'll put one of those screws back in, which I have to gather them all back up. So as you can see, we have tons of screws here, and they're different sizes. I'm looking at these. These two here are very much different in size. I don't think they were used. I think they're used for something else. What would they have been used for? Maybe some of the vertical screws, I'm not sure, but like I said, let's put these here for now. We're gonna verify that that position's about right there. Looks a little bit low actually. So this is right about where we want to be. I guess that's still about right. We're gonna try with that one hole first and kind of see where that positions us on the other side. So let's put that one in first and see what we got. Now also, I may end up going back and gluing them in the end. I doubt it though. Okay, that's on there pretty tight. Let's see where the alignment is on the other side. All right, so the key is you want to make sure you have full range of the joystick motion without hitting the wood. And I do in this position. So we'll go ahead and put the rest of the screws in. And just so I don't accidentally hit the old screw marks, I'm gonna go ahead and just make new holes right here. So then this cover, yep, that'll work nicely. And again, we got a little tape back there, push back. Perfect. So now we'll do the same on the other side. You've got up, down, left, right, no touch, up, down, left, right, no touch. And then what we wanted to do was add 4 more buttons in here for the, this will be the start buttons. And what's cool, I was also thinking about it the other day, I can have these switches be like that, be an Alt key button. So I'm not sure what I want to do with that yet, but we'll figure it out. And then of course we're gonna have to wire down to the arcade body. We're gonna have to come up with something to wire this. Now some of this is for, so these two here on the sides are for the power. And I'm not sure about the, how am I gonna do that? Because I want these buttons not to just always be lit. I want them to be triggered. So what I'll probably have to do is run independent wires back from this side. I have an idea how to do that. We'll talk about that tomorrow or on the next video. What I'm looking for now is the clear buttons, because we were going to put one of the silver ones up here, but since I am going to use the spinner, I want to use these nice clear buttons up in here like that. So what we're going to do is we're going to take these, put this in place now and make sure that that joystick isn't touching the bottom, and it is not. So it does look like we have the clearance, which I checked before, but I just wanted to make sure that it was still looking correct. All right, so we've got the buttons over here, the buttons over here, and we're gonna want to label these and then group the wirings. But then we're gonna have that over there. This is our spinner, and these wires I still need to do a trace on to see how their interaction, or how they connect. I'm gonna tighten these up just a little more. Okay, so then, what's the next step I'm doing? Like I said, the joysticks are coming later. For now, though, I want to look at where the iPack is going to go. I'm thinking these are... There was stuff attached under here before. Actually, does those holes match up? No, they don't. But that actually might work well right there. And then in the back of the panel, let's see how far. Okay, so this panel actually, when this is going to be in place, the panel stops back here. So that would not work unless it protruded around. But that's where the thing screws in. So how would I want to do this? So that's too big there. Would I want it down here? My issue with that is it makes it pretty far from the joystick would be in the way there. Let's see. With this here, yeah, see this, the plastic goes around that way. So maybe it would be, yeah, because these aren't going to go too far out and beyond either. However, I just thought about this, maybe with this being underneath like that, this is the way it'll be in my system. And with this down here like this, this should give me plenty of room to basically put this board in there like this. And then I can drill ports out the back easily to hook up the USB and the power. And then that would be on top of there like that. I like that idea. So we'll attach it here and we'll make a hole right here and here for the USB. And then that way, my longest cables from this side will, I might want to do it more towards the middle just because, but that spinner piece might cause damage. So maybe in the corner is a good idea. Just let's see. these would just have to, the USBs or the LEDs on this side would just have to be plugged into here. But otherwise, that should work well. I like that. That should work well. So then what we're going to do is we're going to, again, place this upside down here. Pull the card out. Actually, before we do that, let's put this on the floor. I'm going to put this out here because I want to figure out exactly where these holes need to be over here. And then what we'll do is you know what I might want to do is 3D print a tray for that to sit on. So basically a little tray that it would sit on here, and then the card would slide in. Got to debate if I want to do that. The next step also is going to be to map out my buttons, to map out where everything is going to be connected. But I guess what I want to do here first is, yeah, I'm going to put things there. So what I want to do is grab my little for planning purposes. There's that, and then there's that. Okay, so as you can see, I've got the square marked out, but I also, underneath these two holes, I put two little marks on here, so that's where I'm going to drill through. So let me go get my drill bits. And what'll be nice about this is that way I won't have just a bunch of power and everything going everywhere. Now also, if I do use the U360s, if I do end up using those joysticks, then the trackball, I'm just going to run the USB cables for that through this existing hole. So that way it'll still look nice when this thing's plugged in. Now the other thing I may end up needing to do is put network ports on this side that will run down the cabinet to plug into these. So we'll look into that possibility later. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to look at this and verify what size bit I want to use for these holes. Probably just go let's see. I want to slice the hell out of my finger on one of those. All right, so that should fit for both of these actually. Let's try these. And I want to cut going inwards so that if the plastic spray frays, it goes out, or in this case goes, the ugly side's in. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this off of here. I'm going to put this on here. And I'm going to put a little pilot hole right there, and one right there. We'll need to vacuum when this is done. And then we're going to put these up here. We're gonna get that hole right in there. Nice little hole right there. And we're going to do the same thing right here. All right. So let's see how that lines up. So when this goes in there, yep, you can see them right in there. There's the power, there's the USB. I might need to widen that a little bit if the adapter happens to be thick. Let's see. This is the adapter that normally comes with it, but I have a power adapter. But now, see, that works fine. So when this is in here, this will come through, plug in like that. And then the USB cable, this one might be too small. I'll pull off that extra plastic that's on the inside of here. See, right there. Let's see, is that gonna fit through the hole? Nope, so I do need a little bit larger hole for that one. Which means, let's see, how much bigger would that be? Okay, we're gonna try that first. I'm gonna try to upgrade that a little bit first. Now, if I would have known, it would have been nice to use the paddle bit first, but I really thought that bit was going to be fine. All right, let's put this over here now. And let's imagine this card sitting in here like that, and then this goes right in there. Oh, it would help if I put the cord in the right way. So that's plugged in. Is this the right one? Yeah. So I plug that in. Yep, that's plugged in. And that's plugged in. So yeah, that looks really clean. That looks really clean like that. You can see, and then on the inside, it's really clean right there. So I like that. And then any additional USB connectors will send through that hole. And like I said, what I might do is if I end up going with a network connection route to do these, then I'll put those jacks over on this side. All right, so this is the current status of the board. As you can see, we've got the start buttons on here. We've got all the classic RGBs. Now, one thing I did do was these are the servo switches we've discussed. Again, they can fully free movement. And then over here, I have a U360. But over here, I put back in the stock control. And the reason why is because with the way that plastic panel
normally closes around here, I would not have room to put this larger panel on that side. And I don't want to shave down the metal or anything like that. So over here we're going to have the NBA Jam version of the joystick, a U360 here, and then two servos here. So I guess I can actually use this to compare the quality of switches. So next couple of videos that are going to be coming out from this is one's going to be this flywheel, how to install the flywheel and why you would want a flywheel on the spinner, which I've not actually had one on the big arcade either. So it's going to be a good chance for me to put one on here and go back and put one on the original arcade. And then also the next video for the Arcade1UP project is going to be planning out the wiring. For once, I actually want to have a full game plan in place on how I'm going to wire this thing and have it documented before I just dive in and start wiring things up. So if you haven't already, make sure to like and subscribe and follow the channel, turn on notifications, and that way you can see how this project is going to continue to develop. But until next time, thank you for watching, and we'll see you again soon.